Hey otakus, we have Asta finishing Lilith before the time runs out. Asta struggling to get Lilith, and Nox help Asta out. The, the clash between the devils and Asta, Libe, uh, Libe's, Lilith's overflowing fear to Lilith getting scared at Libe, and Asta and Levi's combination attack. And stay until the end because later we are going to talk about what's going to happen to the next chapter. Welcome to Otaku International. I am Kiwi, and welcome to this week's podcast, Black Clover Chapter 8, 290.
No.
290. I have Andrich here and Chili with me. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello?
Hello. And also we're going to rate the chapter out of 10 out of 1 out of 10, and we also have a Q&A question, and we're going to have an open chat later on at the end, so make sure to post all your answers as soon as I finish reading the questions or I tell them. So please keep the question until we tell them to post. Join our Discord to be part of our Otaku family. We'll talk about it almost anime, mangas, and manguas. If you think it's a toxic, it's a free, and you get to get the people there. So let's get started. Now let's get started. Andrich, what is Austin needs to finish Lilith before times run out? Like, what is his biggest dilemma today? Like with
Well, the whole dilemma with Asta and his new Devil Union mode is that virtually, like, the moment they split up, as you saw at the end of the chapter,
mm-hmm.
um, he essentially becomes just normal human at that point.
Yeah.
So we've seen him almost get killed by Veto, barely swiping him in the early, like, way earlier chapters. So Asta by himself, without any Union mode powers, would just instantly probably get eradicated by these devils.
What about you, Chili?
For me, I think the main reason why he's trying to finish her off so quick is because he knew about the time limit, and it actually showed it with that little symbol that was on his chest about it actually representing his time limit. And after he bounced it back, he literally only had 2 minutes, so he had to get it done quick. Because as soon as his thing's done, let's be honest, he loses his advantage.
That is true. That is true. And for me, like when he was hurrying up and needs to get as soon as possible, it literally like he's starting to pick up the pace, but he doesn't know when the union form. I feel like yeah, he knows the time, but he doesn't know when. So yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Um, for the next question is okay. Asta's getting struggling to get with Lilith. Like we said before, he's running out of time. But do you think was he struggling, with Lilith with how Lilith combined power? What do you think, Chili?
No, like he came in full swoop, took one of them out, and Lilith was literally just flexing on him just for her attack, just to get bounced back and then eradicated. So he's not struggling with her at all. The only thing he's ever really concerned about is that time limit.
Yeah. But do you think he was chasing her to like he's losing breath and like like that kind of thing, like he's panting?
I mean, that's one thing that Lilith has over him is the speed disadvantage, and if he can't keep up with her, I mean, the time limit was eventually going to run out, but he managed to get to her in time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what about you, Edrich? What do you think the biggest struggle that um he Asta is having with Lilith?
The same struggle anti magic always has is kind of like control, I guess, because she's throwing mana out everywhere. She's these higher level devils just like reek of magic. So when she's throwing out those balls like that, Asta's having to eradicate them so she can actually focus on targeting Lilith. That's the only struggling I'm seeing. I mean, the reason
Yeah.
Lilith is feeling fear at all is because Asta is actually more of a threat to her than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when the time, basically when they finally got the cornered with Lilith finding cornered Asta, I felt like that was the struggle as well, because I felt like that was something that kind of like frustrated him at one point, because he couldn't like get out of her his kind of thing. So Asta was struggling there. But what do you think of Nock helping out Asta, Endrich, with him coming over, helping Asta out?
It's a great moment with Noct like coming
Mm-hmm.
to Asta's rescue, being able to bind people down, because we see in a lot in this show that Asta
Yeah.
has a difficulty trying to pin someone down, especially when he's trying to land a strike on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless they're not anticipating it, but like we saw like in Austin, battle with Licht, like they tied Licht down with air magic, so Austin can come in with a swipe,
Yeah.
and Noct is essentially performing this role here by tying down the demon so he can get a clean hit on.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Chili? What do you think that when Nock joined the battle, do you think that helped a lot?
Yeah, I think it like was a huge help because Oz has always been really slow, especially when it comes to trying to chase people with magic that can practically fly away from him. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that Noct noticed this and he knew that Lilith was trying to run out his time, he did everything that he could to help Asta pin Lilith down just long enough to get that slash in before the time ran out.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. And do you think the clash between the demons and Asa, do you think that we're gonna see more devil levels below after Lilith was defeated? Do you think that it's time for us to see more demons after this? Um what do you think, Eldridge? Do you think that the time for new demons since they defeat Lilith? Do you think, and do you think that Asta is still capable of fighting after, or do you think we need to have another, like, wait another time in order for them to do the union again?
Well, the Devil Union mode, I think, is like their penultimate form per se, and I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a certain cooldown timer, obviously, on it, like kind of like with Black Asta's form. But I don't think the Devil Union mode restricts the use of Black Asta, I guess you can say. So he can switch back and forth, and Libe can pour his power into him like he usually does in order to try and fight other devils. But I think this Devil Union mode is shown to be so strong that there's going to be a definite like struggle in the next coming fights,
I see.
especially with more demons coming out.
And do you think that what you said, the Black Asta form, do you think that's more powerful now since they're more in a union? Like he's able to tap on Libe, and Libe can help him. Do you think that power is more like stronger than the form that he had like in base form?
I think he got an upgrade to his Black Asta form the moment he traded his arm away for a more powerful arm. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's more powerful in that sense. But I don't know if I don't I don't think it's a definite upgrade. But he has been training with Libe for the past 3 days to understand the anti magic better, I guess you can say. So he's definitely going to be a lot stronger than he was before.
Okay. What about you, Chili? What do you think about that? Like between the clash between the demons and Asta. Do you think that after defeating Lilith, we see more demons, and what do you expect to see, and what powers would they be in there inside?
Well, I mean, the next level hasn't been opened up yet, and they've already stated that Lilith and her brother was like the strongest ones on the lower floor. So I don't think they're going to be getting any more higher level like devils, but if as since Asta's power ran out, and then if the next one does open, yes, they're gonna struggle. But until then, everybody else can handle the mid to lower level demons. So that should give Asta enough time to actually be able to activate his union form again. Because it kind of makes me think of like Dragon Ball Z with the fusion, like how they had to wait 30 minutes in order before they could do it again.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Um, and also, like for me, when they had, I feel like it has to have like a drawback, like when some people transform into a combination or something, just like what you said in Dragon Ball. I feel like we need some kind of drawback to, and that's like Asta can't use this all the time because there has to be a drawback to it. So I wanted to know what the drawbacks after you basically after the after effects, because that way that gives the chance for the black blur to come, and also the way okay, so let's get to the next traction and I will answer this. Lilith over getting scared over Libe. Honestly, from my intake, I was even shocked about that because, like, Lilith was considered as the hierarchy in the demon world. And so feeling like she was like, who is this demon, why didn't I ever heard of him, or what's going on, like it got him to terrify, and Libe say, oh, that's fear you're feeling, like she was so scared and stuff. What do you think, Andrich, that the fear that Lilith is feeling to Libe? Do you think something that is more extent to Levi's actual power? Do you think that he has more power to give, or do you think something is up with that?
Well, what Libe points out in the whole
Mhm.
situation is that these higher ranked demons that have existed like above all the other demons for so long feel constantly is just boredom, because they never have any fear of their own lives or any kind of safe, like they never have to worry about their safety. So the moment they encounter something, they can actually fight back,
Mhm.
especially something so freaky as anti-magic, because they've never even heard of that power. um that then they start feeling they just start feeling something different. So Libe is just pointing out, because he's lived a terrible life up to this point of
That is.
getting having to worry about dying and such. uh he's just pointing out that they're feeling fear for the first time. So
What about you, Chili?
For me, I don't think it ever said that the other demons can move to different levels, so that means they're stuck on that specific level. So, if that's the case, Lilith and her brother have always been the strongest, so they've never had to fear any other upper level demons or anything else. They literally were the top dogs on their floor. So the fact that he and she never had any idea what fear is, it's kind of not surprising. And now that he's actually feeling it, he's completely like baffled. And I think that's pretty much where he started having mistakes.
Hmm. It makes you understand what, because for me, like I was even shocked to even even Libe putting fear to Lilith. But you know what? Okay, so let's get to the last chapter. Um, like Asa and Libe's combo attack. Like both of them have like swords in their hand, and they slice. Before that, like they slice Lilith up, and then as soon as they slice Lilith up, they got their union out, and then they both had the sword. Do you think they're gonna do a combination attack? Do you think that they're gonna do like an epic attack that would finish Lilith off? What do you think, Chile?
I mean, that last strike that Asta did in general, if it doesn't kill Lilith with
Yeah.
that one strike, because if you look at how he cut it, he literally just like sliced it diagonally.
Yeah.
So it's possible he didn't hit his heart, and because of that, since she's wounded, it's gonna give her a chance to do like a quick comeback. But if you follow down, it's like she's completely cut in half. As long as the heart's not cut, she's still gonna be alive. And since they both have the swords, I feel like it's gonna be like one of those last minute efforts to try to get that last slash in before she regenerates.
Okay. What about you, Eldridge?
I believe everything he just said, like because they just kind of knuckle touched at the
Mhm.
moment, and you forget, especially when Asta and fought Zagrid, that until the heart was cut, that Zagrid couldn't die per se, like he was still alive. And but
Mhm.
from what I've seen, these demons just have a whole bunch of power. Like I haven't noticed any kind of
Yeah.
like the word magic devil, like Zagrid, he could heal himself instantaneously if he wanted to. Like he can make anything reality.
Mhm.
So for these guys, I think their power is like they don't have anything that can bend the law of space in the sense that they just have sheer power. So I think what's going to happen is this isn't going to finish them off. They're going to try and blow them away with like an overpowering attack as they're kind of dying because they got sliced diagonally in half.
Mhm.
And the sneak peek of Zora and Magna are going to come in, and we're going to get the cool little thing with Zora, and a trap goes off, and they just end up blowing themselves up. I
You
think
really like Zora a lot?
Zora's probably one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's
Yeah.
strong and he's funny.
Yeah. Honestly, I totally agree with you guys. Honestly, with how the combination attack, I felt like since Lilith in the sky and those two, I feel like they're gonna do a both using both the both of their swords to attack Lilith to the point that they're gonna stab, like I feel like Asta's gonna stab her heart and then Libre's gonna stab the heart at the same time to me, and that would give the edge that they need, that okay, Asta beat it, but that also gives the other side like a fear, like the fear. So so this before everybody start giving their question, do you guys have any questions you want to add to it? Do you have any questions you want to add? What do you think of the chapter?
um,
Want to
I really
discuss?
like the chapter, but
Mhm.
one thing that I started to think about is how we watch like
Mhm.
how Asta and Libe kill these demons, which is with their anti magic. They cut them, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They stab them with their anti magic. I guess you can say, and it
Mm-hmm.
cuts their heart.
Mm-hmm.
Can anything kill Libe, theoretically speaking, in this universe? When you think about it,
I mean, technically, when
if his
he
body is comprised of anti magic, can anything kill him?
Maybe other Weg magic.
Maybe,
maybe,
but at
yeah.
the same time, his anti magic works against Weg magic too.
Well, I know that, but we've only ever seen one demon prior to this, if we don't count the Dark Triad.
That's
Mhm.
So,
true. That's true. Maybe an overwhelming force like that, like gravity magic or something, could do something.
mhm.
But I was thinking, like, because even remember when they were fighting Zagrid, Zagrid pulled out that pitchfork, which is
Mhm.
textbook devil stuff. But he
Mhm.
said it could destroy. It could eradicate anything, right? It touches. And
Mhm.
the sword that was overflowing with anti magic at the time literally cut it off, like literally destroyed it, literally cut it.
Yeah,
That
that
is
is
true.
true. That is.
So, and
Yeah,
if Libe's body is comprised of anti magic now, I don't think if Libe ever decides to try and like not to help Asta, there's nothing he can really do about it. I mean, Asta beat the tar out of him. I guess he can just beat him up. That's all you can really do with him. But in terms of magical attacks, I think Libe is actually invincible.
Yeah, but also like I think he got more power when he was entered to the like the book itself, because when he was at the demon world, he like even the demons was like sweat like hurting him and stuff. He was almost dying, he said. But until Asta's mom put him, or I don't know if that was Asta's mom, but either way, we um while she put Libe in the book, I felt like that's when Libe actually awakened his actual potential. I don't think he knows that he had anti magic until the Black Clover kind of thing. What do you think, Chili?
Actually, it said that he had no magic at all, and it was the hatred that he had towards the devils when he was trapped in the five-leaf grimoire that
Mhm.
manifested his anti-magic.
I see.
And that's the main reason why the grimoire never chose anybody, because anybody that had magic would have been uncompatible, and as soon as it found Asta, it showed up and appeared to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I what do you rate this chapter, Chili?
I want to say it's a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. What
I mean,
about
I feel like they rushed it a bit though. Like that fight was over with real quick. Granted, they could have dragged out that 5 minutes.
they could have add more scenes to it,
Yeah,
honestly. Like look at like thing, but it's fine. What about you, Eldridge? What do you rank this chapter at?
I feel the same way he does, but when I think about this, like, okay, when I think about this chapter, it's just I think this whole entire chapter, this whole fight, on all these fights are just to show off the sheer power of this union mode. Yeah. So I imagine the next thing we're going to see is probably an overwhelming adversary in the form of the Dark Triads upgraded forms, if that makes sense. Because right now we see the union, we see like Asta's union mode. Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's so absurdly strong that he could cut a giant devil in half, something that the Wizard King or like the first Wizard King struggled to kill, and,
Yeah.
and he can also kill two higher ranked devils effortlessly. Okay, not really effortlessly, but you
But
get
do
what I'm
you
saying.
think you know is in that level of Asta?
Um, well, it's just kind of like ramping up to the next fight, I guess you can say. Like this is a great chapter for develop. If anything, this is a great chapter for development with Libe because
Mm-hmm.
the cool like one of the things I liked at the beginning is how it flashed back to Asta thanking him for his power. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he's just like, I should be thanking you, you idiot, and stuff like that. It was kind of
Yeah.
adorable, but at the same time, like that's about the only development you really see. That and Noct helping out Asta, but I
Mm-hmm.
think we're gonna see Zora and Magnus power ups
Mm-hmm.
coming this in the next couple of chapters. So like it's something that I find very interesting. Is
Yeah.
this entire this writer like Tabata kind of mixed
Mm-hmm.
he mixed kind of showing off the new powers from a time skip with a
Mm-hmm.
war arc at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just having all these characters that we knew went off for training, I guess, come back, and
Is
I
that
I
is
don't
that
know.
what you're excited for though? That's why it
I'm
makes you excited.
I'm kind of excited to see how these characters are going to come back and what they've done for their
New
powers. I'd
techniques?
rather I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of disappointed Magnus still rocking that like look he's got with like the whole biker outfit. Like I was kind of hoping he was going to be like I don't know, look more like just some sort of reject mage, I guess you can say. I think that'd make him a better character. But I guess they're gonna stick with the whole biker motif for now. Still,
Yeah. Maybe
mm,
he does have it, but he looks a bit different. Maybe he changed or he started to have a beard. Never know.
when Magna gets like the messy hair, loses the glasses, and actually looks like a fire mage, that's the best form of Magna in my opinion.
yeah.
Him like talking about his crazy cyclone and stuff is just kind of lame.
Oh, his broom. It's always showing off that broom.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys think for the next chapter? You guys any idea what is gonna happen to the next chapter?
Hmm.
Like I said, I think we're gonna get introduced to Zora and Magna, and I think
Mhm.
it's gonna involve them coming to help Asta somehow. So we have like fire and ice per se, yeah, from that demon. So
Mhm.
I imagine Zora is gonna absorb the fire, and Magna is going to melt the ice that
You're
attacks
making
them.
it sound like fairy tale.
Well, this whole show is kind of all about like powering against each other at
Yeah.
this point.
It's like
Asta just sort of breaks the mold with his all-consuming void of being able to stop any magic. So yeah,
honestly, I I can't wait to see what people have and stuff, but I have a feeling that like with Asta's power, I feel like he can do the black. You know what black hole is? Like, in space and stuff. It's like, for example, having a black hole with anti magic.
But didn't Yami do something along the lines of a black hole?
Yeah, Black Moon or something,
Black
something
Yeah.
like that. Dark Moon. He has
hole.
it. I
Wait,
I'm going to go and say this now. I don't really like how Yami's dark magic is literally just like nerfed anti magic. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the way it's shown in the show is like, oh, my magic's being drawn in, like it's going to somewhere else.
mhm.
But now his abilities kind of just go along with negating magic, just like Asta, which is something that's, I guess it's interesting and I like it. It's a good mentor thing that Yami can have, but
But but at the same time, I kind of don't like it too because it's like the rarity for it. I think you could say the only difference is that that with between those two is that I guess the dimensional slash. But do you think it's like more gravity based for Yami though?
Mm,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know either.
It's just questionable all around.
What about you, Chili? What do you think of the next chapter gonna be?
I think if they haven't killed Lilith, then it's gonna be them joining in and finishing Lilith off.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do say that they actually finished Lilith off, I think it's gonna switch either back to them trying to go and get Yami back before
Mm-hmm.
the next level opens up, or it's gonna go back to Yuno's fight and tell us like how Yuno's doing right now.
Interesting. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. For me, the next chapter, like I said, I want to see something that could give us a shock value. But other than that, like, do you guys have anything you want to say or add to it before we end the streams and stuff like that, guys? Chili, Andrich, do you guys have anything you guys want to say before we end the stream?
I think I got one thing. So we already talked about like since this thing ended, it's gonna have some type of toll.
Mm-hmm.
Back when we got the original Black Form Asta, as soon as it
Mm-hmm.
ended, he was immediately in pain, like everywhere around him, and that was
Mm-hmm.
just from a little bit of anti magic being sent his way. So with the full Union mode, I'm kind of curious if it's got a huge drawback or not.
That's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
Kind of looks like he wears it like armor, though. You know what I've
yeah.
noticed? It's weird. Like that whole crown on his head. It looks like some sort of demon crown. It looks
I
like
feel
he's
like
wearing armor, like as opposed to like anti magic coursing through his body, which is why I
yeah.
think it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But especially after the time skip, like we saw Asta just like freely using anti magic just to like whack people with his swords and stuff without even having to enter that dark form. So I imagine like either he's still feeling the pain, he's just not saying anything about it, or I don't know.
Yeah. And as for me, do I have I'm honestly like I want to know where they're gonna take this and how long would the arc would last. And that's what I'm scared of because um we don't know what they could possibly put this on, so that's why it's kind of thing. Do you think it's in a climax, guys? Like, or do you think it hasn't reached the climax yet, or like, do you think it's in the middle? Do you think they haven't started the actual fights still? What do you think,
I
Andrew?
think they're I think they're gonna treat this kind of like just a war that happens because I remember whenever Yami was talking about like being on the battlefield and stuff, like in
Mhm.
earlier chapters of the story, that it's just he just kind of nonchalantly talks about how he like fought generals on the battlefield and stuff. Like I think this is just going to be just a war that they participate in, and
Mhm.
it's just another step on them trying to become the Wizard King, I guess you can say.
Yeah, what about you, Chili?
if if everything the way that it's going, this is probably an easy way out for Tabata to actually say Black Clover's over with after this. But seeing how we've been introduced to multiple races, we can still technically be able to see other races because We still haven't seen the what's Chami related to again? It was the
He's a dwarf.
dwarves. Yes, we still haven't seen any dwarves. And since we have devils, there's bound to be angels. So we might be able to see that later on if they continue to progress with the story. But if
Mm.
that's the case, that means Asa's going to have to be able to get even stronger than before because since he's already got this devil union, he's going to either need to get A, more swords, or his physical stats have to increase.
That is true. That is true. All right. I guess that is it. Guys, be sure to watch our podcast again. We'll go live at 3 p.m. CST on Mondays, and also we're going on Fridays. The same 3 p.m. CST and 9 p.m. CET. So we have Monday for Black Clover and One Piece for Friday. So thank you for watching. If you want more of our contents, please follow our social media. Please hit that notification button and comment below. Thank you. One big thank you from Otaku International. Bye, guys.